just like a broken record, same old songs of accusation play. Like who are you to speak the truth? Just look at all your failures and mistakes. And if they really knew you, there's no way they could love you anyway. Oh, but I will fight the lies with the truth.
Hello, and welcome to the Send Help Podcast, a podcast and a lifeline for moms who are stuck in the trenches of mommyhood, bringing them encouragement through Jesus, laughter, and sisterhood.
Sisterhood. The sisterhood of mothers.
The sisterhood of motherhood.
Ain't no hood like the motherhood, because the motherhood's got snacks.
Dude, that's like a throwback to the second podcast we
I have
ever
no
did?
idea.
Yes. Oh my
have no
goodness.
idea.
Hello, and welcome to the Send Help Podcast. Christy.
All I've got going on in my mind right now
Welcome.
is hello and welcome to Movie Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to watch.
Christy, how are you?
I'm good.
How was your day?
I'm good. I spent the day writing my daughter's name on all of her school supplies.
I'm going to make a prayer request, please. You guys, the day that this comes out, Josh is having surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need to pray over him. Please, when you listen to this, please pray for Joshua. Pray, he's having his adenoids taken out. Pray that, obviously pray that the surgery goes well, but please, yes, please pray that he doesn't have any adverse reactions to anesthesia. As you guys, the people that have been listening for the last year, you know that when Josh had surgery the last time, we did not have a good experience with the anesthesia.
Right.
And we're just praying against that. They know the kind of medicine that he had last time. We know that it does not work with him. It's just written as an allergy now. But we're just praying against any adverse reaction and praying that he has a really swift recovery and that we both survive this distance learning. Because y'all, it has sucked the life out of me and we're only on day 3. Today it defeated me. So pray for that, please. I'm down for the count.
Which also means there's nowhere to go but up.
That's a good spin. Anyway.
I'm a good spinner.
I think today we're going to talk about your trip to Oklahoma.
Oh my goodness. So I'm that mom that tries way too hard to create the memory.
Oh no, I am too. We're both guilty of that.
So I got them these little vests.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the Wilderness Explorer vests.
Mm-hmm.
And secretly on my Amazon list, I have all of the badges.
I
do.
That. I love it.
I totally do. But they're like $12 a piece. And I would need 3 of each of them.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So probably won't be earning
make
patches.
our own patches
Yeah.
out of construction paper.
Right. Exactly. I thought I've got to be able to find some that are like just a couple of bucks a piece that have a fish on them or something.
You're
but
super handy with felt. You could do that.
It's true.
Or you could do pleather ones and do it on the cricket.
The cricket. There we go. Why?
Boom. You just need me.
Where
That's
was
fine.
my mind?
That's-
What was I thinking?
No. Because
Okay.
you don't need to go through the pain of having them all make their own patches.
No.
And that's, no.
Good point. Solid
Yeah.
point. Yes. Truth.
Just thinking-
Hashtag truth.
I'm thinking about your experience with making teacher gifts this last Christmas.
The snow globes. Oh my goodness.
No, don't do that. Don't put
One of
yourself
their
in that
teachers
corner.
told me that she still has hers.
Oh gosh.
And I had instant guilt of all of the angst of that. They're just going to throw these away. Why are we putting so much into this? Anyway, so they had their little vests and they wore them every time we went out for a hike, and they were super adorable. And Annabelle would pick up rocks and put them in the pockets because she has a rock collection at home. So she wanted to add to her rock collection. I also had a butterfly net that I was carrying, which within the first 5 steps of the hike became completely filled with rocks. So she weighed 20 pounds more at the end of the hike. It's fine.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but going into this whole trip, Dusty was super excited to get them all a fishing pole and go fishing at the river.
Yeah.
I wasn't so much worried about Avery. She's pretty solid on things like that. If you tell her you've got to watch out, like the hook could catch someone behind you, so you got to make sure that you're looking and paying attention. And she did a really good job. They all came with practice hooks and fish that were these little foam, like a foam hook and foam fish that they could go fishing for. And they all did really well with them. And honestly, Avery was the only one that showed interest when we got there to actually fish, which I was fine with. Letting a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old have a hook and actually fish honestly kind of terrified me.
At the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was fine that the other two didn't really have an interest in it. But after a while of watching Avery, they both kind of wanted to try it out, like one by one. So slowly Annabelle was like, well, I want to fish. But then by the time he got a hook on hers and got it baited, she was done.
Yeah.
So actually casting and like didn't make it that far. By that point, Carson wanted to try it.
Of course.
Of course. And my thought was, okay, his fishing pole doesn't have a real hook on it yet. Can we not just give him that one and let him just have at it? He doesn't know.
Right.
He doesn't know.
Pretend fishing.
Yes.
Side by side with the real fishing.
Yes. And he would never know.
He would have had the best time.
Yes.
Yeah. But Dusty didn't agree with that.
I'm just going to tell you that giving a 2-year-old, and not like a seasoned 2-year-old, like a brand spanking new 2-year-old, a fishing pole with a real hook on it, just, if you are ever presented with that opportunity,
Just don't.
just don't. He couldn't quite get the push the button, like go of the button. When is it supposed to, like, when does the line drop? And he would end up just like, what is the word? Just like whipping it up and down.
Yes,
Is whipping.
Yes.
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 Whipping it. I'm doing the motion with my
I know.
hand. Just
And-
like,
and-
what is
yes,
this?
That's whipping.
Whipping. He would just like whip the pole up and down and randomly push the button. The thing went all over the place. And you don't know where the line is ever.
No.
You don't know where the line is. So by the time he's whipped it around a few times, the hook is somewhere on the ground. He's spun in circles. He's walked around. He's twirled the thing around him. And he thinks that nothing is happening, right? He thinks that he's just moving this fishing pole around.
Because he can't
Because he can't see the fishing line. So I am trying to grab the pole and grab him because he's thrown it down at this point. And I'm envisioning all of it being drug across the grass or the bank or wherever we are, and him eventually like falling on his face because it was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess. And I'm trying to get him to sit down, which he was screaming at me at this point because he didn't want to sit down. He wanted to go back to the little pop-up tent that I had done that Annabelle was sitting in coloring. He wanted to go back in there. So he's mad at me because he doesn't understand why. I'm like, you have to sit down. You've got to sit down. Can you please just stop moving? Stop moving. Stop moving. Stop spinning in circles. Can you stop spinning in circles? Stop turning around. Stop turning. Can you sit down? And every time I would ask him to sit down, he would turn to walk away again and wrap it again. So I finally like picked him up and sat him on his butt. And then he just started crying. Yeah. So I have to go from the pole and run my finger down the line because I can barely see it.
Yeah.
So I'm running my finger down the line. I'm like, look, buddy, look. Do you see this string? It's wrapped all around you. And he's like, he finally like focuses in on it. He goes, oh. Okay. Mama, unwrap. I'm like, yes, Mommy is going to unwrap you. And it took a minute, y'all. It took a minute to figure it out and get it off of his feet. He had gotten himself wrapped up, like legit, like seriously wrapped up in it. And he had no idea. He had absolutely no idea that he was in this huge mess. Mm-mm. Which kind of confused me. I was like, do you not feel it? Do you not feel it on your feet? Do you not feel it on your legs? I know you can't see it, but can you feel something pulling on your legs while you're trying to walk? I don't know. He's 2, so maybe he was like, well, something's tripping me up, but I'm going. He likes to just push through.
Yeah, he's a pusher
and do
through
it anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
He totally is. He takes after his daddy. He's just going to push through and keep going. But oh my goodness. Talk about a metaphor.
Yeah, seriously.
And I know we've talked about this story before.
Yeah.
And you were even like, oh, there's so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
And there was so much to unpack that when we met up tonight, I was like, I just don't know where to go with it.
Yeah.
I've got 3 different directions that I could go with this and talk about for the entire time.
Oh, I know. And then when you gave me your 3 things, I was like, well, that's not at all where I would have gone with it. Yeah. Which just kind of speaks to where we both are.
Right?
Yeah.
We always take the metaphors in a completely different direction.
Yeah, which is cool, though.
It is. It is.
It's going to make writing a book weird. We're in 2 different places.
It can be like one of those...
yeah.
Choose
your own adventure.
Yeah.
Yes. Choose your own metaphor. Choose your own meaning for this metaphor.
You're in an airplane. If you want the plane to crash, turn to page 5. If you want the plane to go to a tropical island,
if you want to talk about the
12.
web, turn to page 4. If you want to talk about the parent relationship with God and how he knows what he's doing and you don't, turn to page 8. Yeah. To follow Amanda,
right?
Go to page 8. And there's a little bitmoji of us.
It's like the call line.
Exactly. It's this one.
If you want to sip a pumpkin spice latte by a crackling fire, press 1.
It's this one.
Yes.
Yeah. With a little poof of smoke behind you. Yeah, like there's a dust.
Oh my goodness.
We should do that. I don't know that anyone has done. Nope. How many people have done?
I don't think anyone's done that.
An adult.
It has been
women's ministry.
We found our niche
book. Choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure.
Oh goodness. Choose your own message. We're going to give you the metaphor. Then you get to choose one of 2 ways.
Let's go with your metaphor.
Oh, okay. That's not where I thought we would go. You're steering the boat and you just chose page 8.
Chose page 8. Let's go with Amanda's metaphor for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same metaphor.
It is.
But it's
different
take
Yeah.
on
direction.
Yes,
Direction.
different
Direction.
direction.
That's the word.
There's not one direction.
There are 2. Oh,
I don't even know any of their songs. I can't even start to sing one right
no,
now.
me neither.
So anyway.
Anywho.
No, I liked yours, which
I feel like if we
It
go to
didn't
page
even-
8 first, we can go back to page 4.
oh yeah.
Because
yeah, totally.
page 8 gets us back to page
It does.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I steered the boat that way.
Okay. Well, now I get it.
Yeah. But so the direction that you went with the story
On page 8.
on page 8 did not enter my mind. It did kind of, sort of, but not really in the way that you said it when you said it.
Yeah. Okay. So last week, Christy started off when we were recording telling the story, and I was like, stop. That's a whole
did.
podcast. So we cut it out and started over again.
Yeah.
And when I said that, I even wrote it on the Post-it. The mom, like
Yes,
the
I've got
parent.
it right here.
What did I write? It's
I've
German.
got it right there.
Carson fishing line, can't see it, but parent can.
Yeah.
And I went immediately to, and I think it's because this is my parent-child relationship with God, the Father. I feel like so many times, and today I cried about it, big time, that I feel like sometimes God, he always takes me the long way around, where I'm like, but it's right over there. Why can't I just walk? Wouldn't it be easier to just do the straight shot
Right.
instead of the long way around? And
The shortest distance
Yeah,
between 2 points is a
exactly.
straight line.
yes. But the thing is that I don't see is that God knows what's on the shortcut, and he knows what's on the long way around, and he
God is
knows what
saying-
I need.
Take math out of it and just trust me.
Yes, he's saying, Amanda, sit down. And sometimes, like today, he has to scoop me up and sit me on my bottom because I keep yelling at him that he doesn't know what he's doing and that I want to keep going and keep doing what I was doing. And he's like, no,
Right.
because he can see the fishing line and I can't.
Right.
I know I'm frustrated, but I don't even feel the snare.
Yeah.
And he knows better. And you guys, that's really hard, especially when you are the parent in a relationship. Like, I am the parent in my home. So you get in that mindset of, I'm the parent and I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
We rail against our parents and their decisions for our lives for a really long time, or we disagree with them, or we act like the teenager. And then we have our own children, and all of a sudden they're 7, and he thinks he's 18, and he thinks he knows what he's doing. And I'm like, no, you don't know what you're doing. And then God's like, hey, no, you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
I just don't understand sometimes. It seems like so often for me that I pray for other people and I see breakthrough in their lives, and I don't feel like I see it in mine.
Right.
And I cry and cry and cry. Like, for example, this anesthesia thing. I don't understand why we had to go through what we went through last time.
Yeah.
Like, why did he let us go through that
What was the purpose of that?
without any kind of warning?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody even told me that was a possibility. after it happened, people are like, oh yeah, my husband he can't have any kind of anesthesia because he hulks out and like he flips out. And I'm like, well, why didn't anybody say this?
Right.
The doctor didn't even say it was a possibility. Nothing. Like, why did God not give me a heads up? Or why do we even have to go through it? Why did Josh have to go through that? And I'm like, is he going to do it again?
Right.
I was told Tim on the bed we're like, I'm crying about everything. And I'm like, I don't even have, and I know that this is probably normal for everyone, but at Cook's, they don't call you until the day before the surgery to even tell you when your appointment time is or when Josh should stop eating or taking medication. Yeah. So they say in the paperwork that they're going to call you between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. Answer your phone for whoever calls you because it will be a blocked number.
Right.
Answer the phone and they're going to give you the information. And I'm like, I'm a planner. I need to planning relieves my anxiety. Mm-hmm. So I have been a ball of anxiety. Oh, yeah. And I was like, Tim, I feel like Abraham and Isaac. Although in my case, I knew the story ahead of time that he gave the ram, but I'm like, are you going to do it for me this time, God? I feel like I'm laying him on the table. I know that adenoids are not a big deal, and it's not the surgery part that scares me. It's the afterwards.
Right.
Because it was so traumatic the first time. And I trust God, and I do trust that he's got Josh, but evidently I don't trust him enough, which is what keeps coming up. I guess it's a constant thing. Maybe that's my thing. Like, I just need that choke collar on all the time that, like I need to be jerked back because I'm going the wrong way. But like,
That's a great analogy.
Well, that's how it feels.
I know.
He keeps me on a really short leash. I don't get to wander off and do my own thing, which is good because every time Dixie does, she gets caught and like tangled in her leash, which is exactly what we're talking about. But
he's keeping you from getting tangled from something.
Yeah. I we may never know what it is. Like that, that whole thing, like you don't know why you were running late. And like, there's so many times that driving along, we're running late and it's been hell getting to where we are. And then we pass a huge car accident. And I'm like, whoa, had we left the house when we were supposed to leave the house, we totally would have been in this wreck.
Right.
Or right around it when it happened. Because it's fresh, and it's like, okay, Lord, now I see it. But you don't always get to see the wrecks along your highway of life, and it's good. But sometimes I feel like it would almost be easier if you just let me see them so that I know, okay, confirmation. I am reaffirmed in the fact that you've got this and you know better than me. But that's where faith comes in.
Right. Faith is not about seeing.
Right.
If he showed us afterwards every time.
Yeah.
Then our faith would be in seeing.
Yeah. It wouldn't be in believing.
Right.
Yes. Yes. But therein lies the rub.
I know.
But so in that, I get caught up in my own head a lot. And I know that this is a big part. This is where you came in, where God took you, because I get caught in the lies of the enemy because I can't. Because if my faith is not where it should be, and I'm not taking a step in obedience, and it's before the step of obedience, I get in my head on that dialogue of, well, I'm not good enough. I'm a horrible mom. I don't deserve my child. I should never have another one. That's why I don't have another one. These are all the things. When I say them out loud to someone else, I feel ashamed of even feeling that way.
Right.
But it's the lie that the enemy tells me, and I just grab right on.
Oh, yeah.
Every time. Because it's easier to believe. then that God has a plan.
Yes.
Because
And why? Why is the bad thing so much easier to believe than the good thing?
I don't know. Because we don't believe in ourselves. Because it's hard to believe, especially after so many bad things happening, that you're worthy of a good thing, or that was God's plan all along,
Right.
was a good thing. Anyway, that's where I went with it.
Yeah. And I think one of the things in what you said that I was like, well, why didn't I think about that, was in trusting God.
Yeah.
You don't always know. You can't always see it. But do you trust him? We say that a lot.
We do.
Oh my goodness, we say that a lot.
But do you trust me?
But do you trust me?
Christy, but do you trust me?
Mine, where I went with this, because I went a very literal route on, he was tangled up. We get tangled up.
Yeah.
And my thought process, this is my thought process. Y'all just go with me, go with the flow here. So he was tangled in a fishing line. I don't fish. I don't. I did bait their hook.
That's big. That's big.
But I don't fish. I honestly am scared to death that I am going to hook myself in the face,
I've hooked myself in the ear.
or that someone around me is going to hook me in the face.
You know how many times I've been hooked in the hair?
Right?
Whew.
So I don't fish. But I did, on the same trip, get caught in many spider webs.
Ugh, that's worse.
It is worse because those things stay with you.
And then you have a spider living in your hair and you didn't know it
Yes.
until you got in the shower and it's dead. And you're like, what
Yes.
happened? How long has that been there? Did it lay eggs? Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I do the whole, like, you could sell tickets to watch the show of my reaction to walking into spider webs. But they're so gross and they just stick to you and you can't get out of them, which is the whole purpose. It's the whole purpose of the spider web.
It's doing a good job.
It's doing a really good job. But okay, now Amanda had a good laugh when I was going through this process earlier because apparently the phrase that I threw out there as if it were a common phrase she had never heard, and maybe it's not so common. So when my mind went from, being tangled up in fishing line and, well, I'm not going to be tangled up in fishing line. Oh, I could be tangled up in a spider web. Spider web. What? Oh, now I can't even remember what I said.
Web of lies.
Yes. Getting caught up in a web of lies.
Yes.
Like, in that moment, the only one that I could think of was the tangled web we weave, or whatever that
something
quote,
deceit.
something is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, getting caught up in a web of lies. Yeah, that's like that quote, Amanda, right? You know that quote. And she was looking at me with this look on her face. Like,
Well, getting caught up in a web of lies is a common phrase. I don't think it's a quote of anything.
It has
Unless
to
it
be.
is. I don't know. I don't know the quote.
has
I
to
just
be.
know the common phrase.
anyway,
Turn of phrase.
it's a turn of phrase. She laughed at me pretty good. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Anyway, yeah. So I went with the whole getting caught in the web and being caught in a web of lies, and lies are big for me.
Not lies
Not-
that you tell
Right.
out loud.
Yes.
Lies that you believe
Yes.
in your head.
Yes.
Yes.
I was never one to tell lies. I was never a fibber. I think I always knew that I would get caught. I try really hard sometimes when I'm trying to spare feelings, I work really hard to find the right words so that I'm not lying. But I'm also maybe not being completely honest.
Yes.
For a large portion of my life, I embraced sarcasm. And that was how I dealt with it.
Truth.
Yes. In this stage of my life, I think I have realized how hurtful sarcasm
Sarcasm is.
can be.
Yes.
And I have left it behind me. Seriously. I hear sarcasm now and I'm like, ooh,
That one cut.
I could feel the bite on that.
Yes.
It was like a switch one day. I suddenly was like, ooh, sarcasm is hurtful. I was really good at it, though. I found it very amusing. This has nothing to do with anything. Anyway, my issue is in believing the lies that the enemy places in my head to such degrees that it is almost debilitating.
Yeah.
For instance, I have no solution for this.
Except to trust God more.
Except to trust God more. This is not something that I have walked through successfully. I'm currently walking through it.
Yes.
I don't know that I have been successful in any way.
Except that identifying the problem is a part of the solution.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
I did that a long time ago,
I know.
if we're being completely honest.
But there's been a big lie that we've both believed, especially in struggling with this podcast, is that
Right.
nobody's going to want to hear from us until we've overcome the problem.
Yes.
And we can speak from experience and
Right.
say, hey, I did this.
Right.
And it worked for me.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that here.
Exactly.
Because the truth is sometimes when you're sitting in the middle of your mess, you may be just enough back on top of that floating piece of debris to pull somebody up.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't
reach
slide
them.
off of the pyramid in the middle of the floor is lava. So
Right. Gosh. I was about to go to Rose and Jack. So you went somewhere.
never let go. Never let go. But it is difficult because I feel like I'm going to lose credibility, or someone's going to hear me talking about it and be like, oh, well, you're still stuck in the middle of it, so why should I listen to you? But honestly, there's a lot to be said for just being honest and open.
Yes.
And when you shed light on a current situation, it naturally has a chance to become resolved.
Yeah. It's true.
Just the nature of the circumstances. If I don't ever talk about a struggle that I have, whether I've overcome it or not, it keeps it in the dark.
And lies in your head, no one else is hearing except you
Right.
and the enemy who's whispering them to you, and
Right.
God, obviously.
Right.
But if you never bring them to
If
light,
you never bring them to light, you never say them out loud, you never share it with anyone else, then there is nothing to combat the darkness.
no.
So even if
And shame enters in.
exactly. So even if just saying, hey, I have a huge issue dealing with the lies in my head and holding on to them when I should take every thought captive and hold it against God's truth and refute every lie. Like that is what scripture tells me to do.
Yes.
If I'm not catching every thought and holding it captive, well, not ever talking about believing the lies is not doing that.
Yeah, you need to become the spider instead of the prey.
Right? I
Don't-
did read something, oh my goodness, y'all, that was like a throat punch. The person was talking about this huge bug being caught in the web of a small spider and how it struggled. And as it struggled, it just became more and more entangled in the web, just like when we walk through them and they get stuck to our face. And then we immediately are victims of that spider because we start screaming and thrashing around.
Or when we struggle in our own strength to get free or
Right.
to deal with the thought in our head instead of giving it to the Lord.
Right.
Yeah.
So this large bug that if they were on dry land could easily take the spider
Yeah.
is now going to fall victim and become a fancy feast.
Yeah. Isn't it a Madagascar cockroach? Like one of
It's
those
one of the
giant
big
ones?
giant flying
That's
ones. Yeah. That was the large bug with the spider. I mean, obviously that thing is going to be larger than most spiders.
It. Yes.
Unless it's a tarantula. The spider would lose in any other situation. And you know what? If we don't allow ourselves to become entrapped by the lies of the enemy and tangled up in that web that he's weaving in our minds, then we would recognize and realize we're the winning team.
Yeah.
We're the stronger opponent. We will defeat him.
Even if we're the same size as the spider,
Yeah.
the God that we're with makes us bigger,
Exactly.
makes us person
Exactly.
size. Yeah.
And if I would stop getting myself wound up in the web and recognize, oh no, I can and I will defeat him every single time, then it would stop. That was like a throat punch. It
Yeah.
really was like a throat punch today.
Yeah.
Because it does not, this is like, I don't know. I honestly don't know if I can tell you if it's conviction or condemnation in the moment, but it is so easy. It is so easy. The minuscule lie that he can throw at me and bring me to my knees because it's such a struggle for me. Do I trust God? Do I trust him? And maybe, believing a lie is not your web that you get tangled up in. Maybe there's something else that you get tangled up in that keeps you from being who God created you to be.
Yeah, maybe
And
it's
living
pride.
in that freedom and living in the fullness of that.
Exactly.
I mean, Paul talked about, I want to do the good. I don't do the good that I want to do, even though I want to do it. And that could not be more true. I don't want to get caught in lies. And there are so many safeguards, I guess,
Yeah.
that to a lot of people seem ridiculous. But there are a lot of safeguards that I have set in place for myself personally because I know, like we were talking about a movie that I watched that was such a good movie.
It was really good.
But it caught me so off guard in the way that the movie ended up making me feel.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous. There should be no correlation.
No.
There should be no correlation, but something so small and minuscule that was said or that happened in that movie just set me off. And it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's really dumb. I think that was kind of like a flashing neon light for me the other day of, really, Christy? Why? Why this movie? Why?
It's basically
There is-
rated G.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. Like, what? Seriously, Christy? You need to get a grip on things. Like, you've got to wrangle this in. You have to. Because, yeah, it's good to set safeguards. It is. It's really good. It's really good to...
But if you're that... If you're
I'm
in that big of
yes.
a place that if you see something as benign as that movie and the enemy is able to infiltrate your
Yes.
head, it's like, okay,
Yes.
I have not dealt with this yet.
Exactly. I told Amanda, I was like, I think that I'm a severe over-empather. Like, is that even a thing? It is. It is, but it's not me.
No.
It's definitely
I've
not
never
me.
known you to be
No.
like, I would have never pegged you as an empath.
No. Because I'm not. I have sympathy,
Yeah, no.
but I'm definitely not an empath in any way, shape, or form. But in the moment of watching that movie,
This specific
that's what you would have
subject,
pegged me for.
the specific subject is just like, it's a all out there in the open booby trap that Satan just throws out anytime
Yeah.
he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely have some issues with believing the lies, because it doesn't even seem to matter what direction they come from or what it is. It's just there.
Yeah.
It's just there. And really, I need to have a big, like, baseball bat or paddle or something, like a huge ping pong paddle. Ping pong paddle that I can just like and just like swat them all like Forrest Gump in the Olympics.
Yes.
With the ping pong.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have a verse?
Really, the only verse that I have is Hebrews 12:11. No, 12:1.
I'm tracking.
I just saw the one and my mouth went there. Hebrews 12:1 of like the, forgetting what is behind, dropping everything that can entrap you, pressing on towards the goal that is Christ Jesus. For me, in my go to page 4,
Yeah.
is that's the verse. That's the verse for my let's go to page 4 and follow this story. Because believing the lie is the thing that I have to let go of.
Yes.
I have to let go of it. I have to completely drop it. I actually did like a word study on that portion of the verse. I'm like, maybe it means like sever or cut. No, it was drop it.
Just
drop it. Just let it go.
That's so good. The fact that it just means drop it.
Just let it go. Anything that will ensnare you or entangle you or keep you from running the race that God has intended for you. I'm not running the race that God intended for me because I'm letting this issue hold me down. And it's not about lopping it off with a sword. It's just opening my hand and letting it go.
Yeah. Well, mine would be obviously 2 Corinthians 5:7, for we walk by faith and not by sight.
That's engraved in my glasses
I love that.
because I'm blind.
In the Amplified Version, it's living our lives in a manner consistent with our confident belief in God's promises. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I wonder what other...
Because it's true. It's true. Because whatever lie is coming at me, it really boils down to,
But do you trust me?
do I trust God's truth over the lie?
Yeah. And whether you do or you don't, you get to make a choice. Am I going to live my life in a manner consistent with my confident belief in God's
Right.
promises?
Right.
That just kicked me in the face. Boy, howdy. What a fun choose your own adventure.
I know.
You guys, so what is it? What is it that either you are not trusting God in, or what web of lies or web of some sort of sin are you stuck in? There's got to be something. There's got to be something. I feel like we all have something.
We could have told the same story.
Yeah.
Because even if it's that we're stuck in this pattern of a sin, God sees that pattern. He sees us spinning around in it. He sees us stepping over this and getting caught on this. He sees it. We don't see that fishing line of the pattern of whatever it is that we're stuck in, whether it's not trusting him. Do we just not trust him to show us to step over this so that you don't get stuck?
Mm-hmm.
No, turn this way. Don't keep spinning. Just turn this way so that you don't get stuck in this again.
So, we're praying for you. Share with us, please. Let us know what it is that you're stuck in.
Yeah.
Because by confessing it with your mouth, you bring light to it.
Absolutely.
And bring captive every thought.
So hopefully after this, light has been shed on my
something.
taking my thoughts captive.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll do a better job.
No, not
I
maybe.
will do a bit.
You will. You will do a biblical job.
I'll do a biblical job, which
And I'm just
means
going to
it's
trust.
handled.
I'm going to trust that the ram is in the thicket on Wednesday.
Because that ram is entangled in something.
Oh, he's stuck too.
He's stuck too.
But that's a good ending. Okay, guys, we love you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for choosing to listen to us. Please follow us on all of the social medias. Find us
All
on
of them.
YouTube at Sendhelp Podcast. Go to our website, thesendhelppodcast.com, and listen to us on any platform. We love you, and we're praying for you to get unstuck. Pray for us too. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.